Go ahead and get started here. Thanks to everyone for joining this morning. Jim Wallace here at Aible. So I help with customers and have been working on the product to get new features out for customers. So we launched back in March at Gartner, and since then we've had a lot of interest from customers bringing on and a lot of requests for new features. So part of what I want to do today is walk through that. What's changed in the last few months? What do you have access to? So customers that have already bought, you'll have access to all these features going forward. And then for customers that have not bought yet, this is additional reasons that you can consider and extra things and extra value that you'll get out of Aible when you purchase or sign up for a free trial. So what I want to talk to today, we'll go through a demo of some of these new features. If you have any questions or you want to see more of a full demo, we've got some of that on our website, or feel free to reach out and contact us, and happy to set you up with that. So today, I'm going to talk through deployment. So how do you, once you have a model that you like out of Aible that fits your business, that's going to give you the predictions that you want, how do you actually get it in production? Since we're all focused about real world AI here, this is an important piece to make sure that you actually get impact out of the AI models that you generate. Secondly, I'm going to talk to how we're set up serverlessly. So what this does for your business, both in training and in deployment. And then I will talk about blueprints. So we've had a lot of requests for different use cases for AI, different industries, different languages, and Aible set up as a platform to be very configurable, and you can make it fit both your business and your department within your business. So I want to talk to how you can do that both for your use case and for your organization more generally. And then lastly, I'll talk about our free trial, how we decided to do this, and what benefit you can get to just get up and running quickly with Aible. Thank you very much. I'll go ahead and jump into the product. So what we're going to start with here is, let me move over to Aible one second. All right. So what we have here, we have Aible. So we have our different data sets in the middle here in purple, and we have a series of blueprints up top. So what we've done when you sign up for Aible, we've got a number of data sets that come in out of the box. So you can get started. You can see what different scenarios, different use cases would look like. And to make AI as accessible as possible, we have these blueprints. We've got some AIs created down here, and then to orient you down at the bottom, we have some deployment. So I'm going to start with that. I'll start with the end because we want to show how we can provide value for you, and then I'll walk back and show how that works. So once we have an AI, we got a model that looks good, we've already done all this work, then we can go ahead and come down here. So go ahead and hit deploy. So what this does is we'll create a marketing run here. I'm going to go ahead and start from scratch on one of these for you. So you'll get an endpoint URL. This is in this case, AWS endpoint. So you can call this as you're trying to do a score of a data and make a prediction on the fly. Send this with the data that you have. So if it's a bank marketing and you have this new contact that signs up on your website and you want to see, are they likely to buy? Is it going to be profitable to pursue them? Then what you want is call this, put in their information, their zip code, their name, demographic information you have about them, and then as quickly Aible will send back a prediction that says, yes, this person is worth pursuing and will be profitable, or no, this person will be unprofitable. And you can put this into your systems. You can drop a score into your current, whether your CRM or your ERP, wherever you're running your business process out of, and then you can have this numeric field and rank and create visualizations accordingly. So we wanted to do this to make it as easy as possible. It's just an API call. So it's easy to set up with your existing IT infrastructure. Then I'm going to go ahead and talk through a blueprint. So what this is, we're going to go ahead and start with the bank marketing one. So if you've seen a demo of this, it might be similar. If not, I'll walk you through it. So what the blueprint does is it makes AI a little bit more accessible. So all the fields, all the questions are customizable so that when your users at your organization or in your industry are using Aible, that it speaks their language. We think it's very important that AI speaks business rather than trying to train all the business people to speak AI, because there's a fundamental disconnect here, and there's a lot of hype in the marketplace about having business people understand AI, but we think that's the wrong way of going about it. We'd much rather the AI be intuitive and easy to use. So we set up the blueprints to do this. So what the blueprints does is it pulls in a list of fields that it expects. So for a marketing use case, you might expect to see what the monthly rate is, what the consumer confidence is, days since last contact. So this is the best practice of what fields are most likely to have signal and be helpful in your predictions. So if you're organizing this at a company level or in an industry level and you're putting your blueprints out there, then what this can do is say, I know that these are going to be big determining factors. How long since we last contacted them is going to be a high indicator of if they're going to be responsive to a specific marketing campaign. So you want to make sure you have that. And then as a user of a blueprint, maybe you have this data set from your marketing and your company, and you have a lot of these fields, but you may not have them all. So this is the fields that you're going to look for, and if you're pulling a report and you don't know which fields to pull, here's the recommendations based off of the blueprint. And then you can go ahead and click a data set that you have. So we're going to click the Bank Direct Marketing set. And in this case, these fields are a match. So the ones that are recommended for this Bank Direct Marketing campaign, we have. So these are all highlighted in green. And if they don't exactly match up, so maybe we've got number of employees is what the blueprint asks for, but yours says number of employees, then you can manually match these to make sure that the blueprint understands that you have the most important fields so that you can get the best runs out of it. You can edit some of these questions. So if you want to say, what would you like the AI to ignore any columns? You can change this. And you can say, is there any information that you would like to not consider? So what this allows you to do, you can use any acronyms for your company, you can put it in different languages, and then edit sub-description. This will be left out in the AI. Depending on your audience and who's going to consume this, then you can make these changes. So we did this because different industries have different ways of approaching these problems, and Aible's use case agnostic, and you can use it for a lot of different business problems. So you can tailor it to fit exactly what you need. So this asks, which value of term deposit conversion do you want to predict? And then you can change this as well. So if you have something that you want to capture, feel free to do that. And then as part of the blueprint, we have a default value for what you're looking for. So in this marketing case, we're looking to convert leads. This could be something that sits with your data, or if you have something that you're, sometimes data comes in as 0, 1, and users may not be sure if a 0 is good or a 1 is good. And then you can make this choice and give them a suggestion. And of course, things always change in execution. So if people have a different opinion when they're running their blueprint, then they can make different choices. but the blueprint is a template that gives them the structure to go ahead and get a good result, and they can tweak it as they go along. So we'll go ahead and hit next. And then we have different fields that get circulated up as possibly too good. And these are things that may be in most people's data sets. So if people are pulling information out of their CRM on opportunities and they want to know which ones are good, and you have reason lost on there, that's only known after you decide to go after an opportunity. So that may be too good. But we find a lot of times that people just dump the data that they have, they pull it off, and when you're going to run this, Aible is going to suggest that maybe it's too good. And as a blueprint creator, you can say, make sure that you ignore reason lost because that's not good. And then that'll remind them to make sure that it gets taken out and give them some guidance on what choice to make here. For this one, we're going to leave it in. And then as the creator of the blueprints, you have the 3 flows that for Aible, we have the I'm feeling lucky. It just runs a bunch of AIs, ranks them based on accuracy. It assumes that all the costs and benefits are the same and that there are no business constraints for your business. And then it also ignores the current state and the value of what you're doing today. So if that's what you want your business to run, then you can go ahead and do that. We have the quick launch if that's the version that you want to do. But for everything else, we recommend the best results, and you can guide your organization, or if you're a partner that's working with us, you can guide your clients down this use case that will give them the best benefits. So here's another question that you can edit if needed. And then you can select for your clients or people in your organization what types of business needs they need to support. So you could rephrase this for bank direct marketing. Does this need to be compliant? Or is this mortgage approvals? So if we're doing bank direct marketing as our blueprint, then it's not, right? But if you're targeting in a specific division in your organization, then that's something that you could add. You can set it so that they can only go after auditable, they can only go after human understandable, and then this will be the default as they go through it. So we'll go ahead and leave no restrictions on, and then set the costs. So this is something where you can rename this in your own lingo. So this is, say you're going after marketing contacts, and you can say they converted. That's the marketing lingo that you want to use. And then did not convert. So what we're doing is we're changing the terminology to be more business friendly and make it fit your organization and what you use. Correctly ignored, maybe that one makes sense, and missed, you can leave that. And then one question we have a lot is, what are these values for impact per prediction? And you can put some default values in here. So typically we'll see that business users that are owning the business problem will know these pieces of information. But as they roll it out to others in the organization, maybe like an analyst or someone else that's doing some of this work, they may not know all of these key business figures off the top of their head. So here's where you can put some of those in, and then everyone in your organization that uses this can use it. Or say you're a business partner in manufacturing and you're selling a particular component, say an automobile, and you can put, this is what the average cost of an automobile is. And when you sell a customer, maybe it's $25,000. And maybe you have different customers that work with low-end vehicles that sell for lower than this, and some luxury vehicles that sell for more than this. So they're going to tweak this. But you know, if you're selling a $10,000 car, or if you're selling a $50,000 car, you can adjust this. But at least by having 25,000, they have a ballpark for what that might be, rather than 1 or 10, which may be orders of magnitude off from what they're trying to do. Costs, that's also something that people may not always know. But as a business user or as a consultant, that you have built up years of experience on what the trade-offs are going after these people, these prospective customers, then you have this institutional knowledge, this business knowledge, And that's part of the intellectual property that you want to convey to your partners. So often you would do it in a consultative approach. Business executives may have years of experience and they know these things off the top of their head, but every time they get involved in a project at a lower level, they have to share part of this wisdom that they've accumulated through experience with other people in the organization. And this was one way to, as an organization or as a partner, capture this knowledge and spread that information with other people that may also be building AIs. So you can put this information in there. I'll go ahead and set transaction costs. Say you know that your company likes to do things on a quarterly basis and make predictions there. That's great. You can absolutely include this. And then everybody in the organization is working on a consistent cadence and making predictions that scale appropriately. I've definitely been in organizations that have a lot of discrepancy over whether they're working a 4, 4, or 5 quarter, and there's 4 months or 4 weeks in the first month, the second month, and the fifth month, and the third month, excuse me, and how that looks different than people are on the calendar quarter. And you want to make sure that you scale appropriately and that everybody's talking the same numbers. So you can set that up for your organization or for your clients. You can put in past information. So maybe if you're working on the whole marketing department, these are what your numbers are. And then as someone on one product line within your marketing department, maybe they have a subsection of this, but this at least gives them an overall feel and proportion. So they may know this off the top of their head, but if not, they have a gauge. And one of the things that Aible does is we double check your assumptions later on when you run a job. So even if these numbers are not exactly accurate or their business is slightly different from your experience as a partner or an executive in the company, then we'll do some of those double checks and make sure that if a different model would make sense, when it would make sense. So we'll go ahead and store these, and you'll see on the left these values: converted, did not convert, correctly ignored, missed. This is just speaking in the business language that we put up front. So if you're doing healthcare and you would have talked about targeted, not targeted, and you would talk about if you intervened or not, then those are different languages that you can use. Very helpful when working with other stakeholders in your organization so that they understand exactly what these numbers mean. You can rename your impact if you want to call it return on investment, on marketing campaign. You can do all of these things just to be a little more specific. And then you can set the capacity. So this is what the general terminology is that we went with. What is the maximum number of transactions you will be able to process? But you could make this even more specific. How many prospective customers can you reach out to each month? So as a partner that's specializing in marketing use cases, that you see that come out a lot, this is something that marketers know, oh yeah, this is how much I have. Either it's budget or it's personnel capacity, and you can put this into the language that they're going to use. Transactions may be very different if you're a warehouse and you're keeping stock on the shelves. And then their question could be, how much shelf space do you have, or how many items do you keep in inventory? And the way you ask this question will get a different response based on if it's a different use case. And then you can go ahead and set this capacity. So if you want to set it at current, then you can go ahead and do that. You can also set it a little higher if you think you're going to have a little bit more budget next year, or in a manufacturing use case, you're going to have a little bit more floor space, you're doing expansion. As you expect things to change, or you expect your customer or your company to have things change, you can save this in the blueprint. So once you have the option over here to run the job, and that'll take all these constraints and values into account when building some AIs, or you can save it as blueprint. And when you do that, it'll save up top. So we've got a new blueprint up here on the left, bank marketing. See, we can go ahead and click on that. You'll see we've got the same fields entered that we started with. We can click on the data, we've got the match, and then we'll go through and we see the same questions that we have before. So the no restrictions is set. like we requested. We've got the same terminology that we had before: converted, did not convert. The values are saved. The counts are saved. Return on marketing campaign is saved. And then we want to set the new capacity. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then you can go ahead and run the job. So this job's running and firing up off of the blueprint that we set. So you can see the second time I ran through that, after doing all the setup work, took just a few seconds to click through. That can be the experience for your business users and for your clients. Once you do the work and you set them up for success, that actually executing and training AI models is relatively painless. So what the job's doing here is it's firing up these AWS servers. So now what we're doing is we're running in Lambdas and we are serverless. So the big benefit here on training, it lets it go significantly faster. Our training times have been cut down significantly. For a typical data set that we see, a business user might be 50,000 rows, 30 columns, something like that. It really depends on what level of detail they're making actions on. So if we pick monthly, that's going to be a different outcome than if you have 3 years. But we want to make sure that we target something there. And then this takes a few minutes to run. So the benefit to the user here is iteration. We do find that with tools like this and in business, experimentation and iteration is really valuable for getting results and a result that people actually buy into. So the first attempts may get really close. But as we've seen with AI projects that we deployed in the past, if you set this AI project and it takes 2 months for this team to go off and build this model, and then they come back and say, well, we built this model and we go to apply it and something's not quite right. Their data's not quite clean, or there was a key assumption that the data scientist team made that's not accurate in the business world, or things change. Things change in 2 months. Then the model that they've built can't really be used as effectively as designed in production. So what you really want to do in those circumstances is go back, make a few tweaks, and do it again. And if your timeline for this is 2 months, it becomes very difficult. Even if it's a few hours and you have to set this up, run it, and then come back to it, that can be a big hurdle to iterating quickly. So what we've done is we've already got 6 AIs that came back. We've got a winner. You can do that in a couple minutes, make a couple tweaks, add a little data, subtract out some data that doesn't make sense, and then run it again. And within a few iterations, under an hour, and then you've got a model that you like quite a bit. So that's the benefit of being serverless on the training side. But really where the impact is on the deployment side. So what I showed you earlier, since we only fire up serverless Lambdas in AWS, when you go ahead and deploy, then we dramatically cut down the cost. We fire up these servers dynamically when you're training, and then tear them down immediately afterwards. And then we do the same thing on prediction. Since our founder and our CEO have been through over 2,000 real-world deployments of AI, a lot of the effort right now is spent on AI training and building models, and that is an important piece. But really the significant cost is on deployment. When you have all these servers that are standing up 24/7 around the world, you may need a different server for each different AI model that you have deployed. That can be quite costly. And you need to have them up all the time so that you can make a recommendation on the fly whenever a need for prediction comes in. So what we do differently with server is, because we only stand it up when you need it, and we only stand it up when you need that prediction, that it can be idle 90% of the time. But when you need that AI prediction, fire up the servers, keeps all the memory that it had, and makes that prediction as quickly as you need it, and then shuts down, and you don't incur any cost until you're using the next prediction. So you really only pay while you're using it, which can cut down the cost significantly of deployment. So we've got a number of AIs that have come back. We've got 10, we've got a few more, but we've got the AI Aible relative impact up here. We've got the winner, if you've seen this demo before. If not, we try to make this as easy as possible for the business user to see which of these models is the best. And one of the problems that you'll see in AI deployments today is, how do we evaluate a model? What is the right metric? Is it accuracy? Is it log loss? Is it recall? Is it F1 score? And all of these can give you a different answer of what model is the best. And it makes picking one difficult and very contentious for debates. So what Aible does that's different is we train on impact. So what is the metric that you're trying to optimize the most? So in this case, it's return on investment. So the actual money that you're going to make on this marketing campaign, which is what most business users care about. If you're trying to reduce downtime days, if you're trying to reduce quality defects, a different metric other than dollars or other than money, then you can absolutely do that as well. And then we'll rank on that. So if you set the problem up from the beginning correctly and you know what outcome you're trying to optimize for, it makes evaluating the models very easy. And Aible helps you do this. So we have the total impact here. It's 21.7 million more than current state. And that's how you know that it is a significant improvement over what you're doing today. And your data is good enough to go ahead and deploy. So how do we do that? We have the different prediction drivers on that helps the business user understand what's going into the decision-making in the model. The ones to the right are good and are positive indicators that someone is going to convert in this marketing campaign. If you talk to them on the phone for a while, likely they're going to sign up. If you talk to them for less than a minute, likely they will not. Certain months are strong. So you talk to them in March, it's going to be a good month. May is weak for signing them up. So you can score data. If you have a short sample of data that you want to want a standardized data set of 1,000, 10,000 items, whatever it is that you want to compare, and then you can simply hit score data and be off and running. So that's typically for the evaluation phase. Once you have a model that you want, that you like, if you want to say you don't think the or more 3-month rate is relevant, you can remove it. You can go back and create a new run. This is the rapid iteration that I was talking about, making sure that you go as fast as possible to get the model with the relevant data that you want. And once you have one, it's saved. All of these changes that you made are saved as part of the run, and then you can go ahead and deploy. So this is where we showed you before. On this fresh run, it's going to fire up. This also takes just a few minutes to create and build this notebook, and then create the API gateway so that you can talk to it with just the API call that you want and score just the data set. It can be one row of data, it can be more, however much data and rows you want to get a prediction for, then you can go ahead and call this and get that in your system right away. This is again where the server list really helps out, that we only fire this up when you're using it so that we reduce the cost of deployment and lower the capacity that you need. So overall, you need less resources, both actively and passively. I want to give that a minute to complete. You'll see the annotation here. It's already giving you the status that it's started the CloudFormation stack. Once that's done, then you'll have that URL for deployment that I talked about earlier. We want to make it easy for business users to be able to deploy a number of models. Typically, how you see it in business today is, do I run one model for all of my sales? Do I run a different model for each product? Say, bank direct marketing. So savings account should look different from a credit card, which will look different from a bank loan. And do I build different AI models for each of these? And then also for geography, do I run one for the US and one for Europe? Do I run it by state? And really the reason that most companies end up running fewer models is this cost of deployment. Because for each AI that they deploy, they have to have a separate server, which adds on to cost. So what we're going to do here is, because we only fire it up and you only use the predictions when you use it, if you have 10 models for 10 different product lines, but each of them gets used only 1/10 of the time, then your overall cost is comparable. So you can get much better models that fit your business better at the same cost. So here we've got the endpoint URL that I showed you, and you can be off and running. So the last thing that I wanted to show you is the free trial. So you can go ahead and sign up for this. Let me get you here. So we have the Aible free trial. You can sign up for 30 days. We do have customers that can do their whole evaluation. If you know what your business problem is going in, collect your data, sign up. You get 4 weeks that you can test, iterate, build models, sign up for deployment, hook it up to all the linkages in your business, and make sure that you prove value. The AI model is doing better than your current state. You can see how easy it is to deploy, and do this within a month so that when you're ready, you can see the value, it's easy to make a case, and then sign up for your license. So once the 30 days expires, all the work that you've done is saved, and you can see the past runs that you've had and past data. You just can't do any additional new runs, new data until you activate the license. To activate, it's only $5,000 per user per year, and then you get all the features. So like these new features have come online, you'll also get the new features that come out in the next year. It is as a service, so all the upgrades you get as part of this package. And then you can be off and running with the models that you made before. So you just have to sign up here. We'll turn it off at the end of 30 days, and then your account will be saved indefinitely. If you want to come back to it, say you need to do a proof of concept, provide value, and then it takes a little bit to work through your company for getting the project and the funding approved, then you can have it, work through your company process, come back, you'll get your account turned back on, and you'll be off and running the same as you were before. So once you sign up for this, then it will take you to this registration screen. You can put in your name, put in your password, and then it will take you to a screen that registered. We approve accounts within 24 hours, so it's got to be a work email that you use, and then we'll make sure that you get set up. If you have any questions on marketing information, you've got marketing materials that go with it. But what this will do is this will take you, once you have your account, you can log in here, put in your name, put in your password, and it will take you to the product. So we'll have some demo sets that line up here, and then you can upload any additional data that you want. You can connect your AWS account up here. So you have different tenants that we have. We've got the Aible primary AWS. You can connect your new AWS. You can sign up for a free tier at Amazon, and that'll take care of your immediate needs. If you want to connect your company's organization's AWS account, all you need is an account ID. We can talk with you and your security team over what the best way to do that is if you have any questions. If you have root access, you have a new AWS account, that makes it really easy. You can just put that in there. And then if you have questions on how to link your AWS account, we have some instructions here as well. So how to sign up, how to put in your account number. Takes a few minutes for setting up on the AWS side. You get a status create complete, and then you're off and running. So this will take you back home. You can click up on the top left, and you're enabled. You have free access to start uploading your data and building runs, building your own blueprints. So I hope you enjoyed today. I hope you get a chance to check out the free trial, see if there's any questions here at the end. And if something comes up, we have office hours on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And feel free to reach out to us on the website, and we'll be happy to work with you and get you enabled. Thank you so much. Have a great day.